Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to News Dose, and a major Xbox Bethesda game may have just been teased in a very unique way. I've not seen something like this before, but hey, Fallout fans might want to perk up because a new experience seems to be nearing its announcement and possibly launch, and we just got a major clue directly from its new developer. Now, we also got a leak that seems to point to PlayStation's next big game beyond Wolverine, and also Nintendo has somehow managed to put out a game within a week of Resident Evil 9's launch, and somehow, or at least as of now, it's somehow rated even higher. So stick around because we got a lot to get into, but first, I do want to thank my supporters on Patreon and on YouTube memberships. Thank you just so much for what you do, and you will receive this video through early access. Let's go and get right into things, though, starting off with a potential Game Pass announcement. Last month, they teased The Deliverance 2 through their Melissa McGame Pass email hijinks, and I thought that was an awesome announcement. You know, it's a fairly new game, as it was a Game of the Year contender just last year. Well, this time, they're seemingly teasing Cyberpunk 2077 with the line, this latest edition is going to be a V Good One 2. So V being the protagonist for Cyberpunk 2077, yeah, it kind of seems like that's what they're teasing here, and if so, then we'll probably get an official announcement here in the coming days. And I have two things to say about this. One is that Cyberpunk is a great game. You know, if for whatever reason you haven't played it already, and if you have Game Pass, then you absolutely need to try this game out if it truly comes to the service. However, I don't think that this announcement is nearly as good as last month's Deliverance 2, because Cyberpunk has been around for a very long time. You know, most people who want to play it probably already have. And it also goes on sale every once in a while, sometimes actually very steep at that. As an example, it was $21 back in December. So that's kind of where the increased price for Game Pass comes in. You know, last year, I would have probably said, hey, this is a great inclusion, because technically it is, it's a great game, but for the value, I think you would definitely want to pair it with other games to really make your subscription worth it for that given month. Now, Resident Evil 9, of course, launched last Friday, and I mean, it was already skyrocketing up the charts, but the thing is that continued throughout the weekend. On Saturday, it broke its own concurrent high on Steam, and you can see here, it reached a peak high of 344,000 concurrent players, which is beyond impressive for really any game. But just to put things into perspective, this is more than double of what Resident Evil 4 Remake achieved just 3 years ago, which really goes to show you the upward trajectory that the Resident Evil franchise is currently on. I mean, this has really been the case pretty much since Resident Evil 7 launched back in 2017. That game was kind of the resurrection for the Resident Evil series, and word of mouth alongside improved reputation has grown game over game over game as more people have dipped their toes into the series. I mean, you can see how game over game, it has continuously grown. Resident Evil 7 reached a peak high of 20,000 players. That then blew up to 74,000 for Resident Evil 2, 60,000 for Resident Evil 3 being the only drop-off for the series, and then Village at 106,000 and Resident Evil 4 at 168,000. So it has consistently climbed higher and higher outside of Resident Evil 3, and that's just because Capcom keeps delivering these genre-defining games, and I think it just goes to show you the importance of consistent quality. So just big congrats to Capcom, which I imagine I'm going to say that again soon when they reveal the official numbers, which right now I'm kind of expecting it to be record-breaking for the franchise. It's so strange to say, though, that despite Resident Evil 9 being an early Game of the Year contender, within just 1 week of its release, Nintendo dropped a game that currently has an even higher score on Metacritic. Now, to be completely fair, it also has less reviews, which is very important. But this one is surprising a lot of people. Last year, when Nintendo first announced Pokopia, a lot of people wrote it off. And it really wasn't until last week when it started to become clear that maybe people wrote it off a little bit too soon. They showed some gameplay at the Nintendo Treehouse event, and as I said last week, it actually looked like it could end up being a big surprise hit. And well, apparently, it actually is, because it currently has an 89 overall score on Metacritic. It is being compared to a mix of Animal Crossing and, more importantly, Dragon Quest Builders, which, I'll say this right now, for the most part, these type of games are not for me. I don't care for games like Animal Crossing or Minecraft, but I do have a soft spot for Dragon Quest Builders. It's really the one building sim type of game that I enjoy because it actually gives you a focused experience. And apparently, that's how Pokopia is structured as well. And that's because it's actually from the same studio. So they're bringing that Dragon Quest Builders experience to the Pokemon universe instead. And that actually has me excited. I mean, for one, I am a big Pokemon fan. Most of you all probably know this already. But I don't know. After watching some reviews today, I'm kind of on board for this game. I don't know if I want to play it right away, though. I have some other things going on, playing some other games, but I could definitely see myself getting this down the road, and I think a lot of people will do that as well. I mean, Pokemon is quite literally the biggest IP in the world, and these cozy sim type of games, they always have potential to pop off if they're received well, so with the two combined, yeah, this could end up being a massive game in 2026. All right, now let's just go and talk about this quote-unquote secret Xbox Bethesda project. I mean, it's not really a very well-kept secret, but it is a secret that they've yet to announce, and that is the remasters for Fallout 3 and for Fallout New Vegas. So really, it's secrets as in plural, but for today's video, it's for only one of these games, though which one is still a mystery. Now, that will make more sense here in just a moment, but it's been fairly clear for a while now that Xbox and Bethesda are accelerating their plans for the Fallout series. The Amazon show has had a ton of success, and pretty much ever since then, there has been industry whispers that Microsoft wants more Fallout experiences, and the sooner the better. So in other words, they don't want to wait until 2034 for an eventual Fallout 4. They want to fill the gap to take advantage of the Amazon show and its popularity. And that's a smart thing to do. Now, what we know for a fact is that Bethesda has been planning a Fallout 3 remaster for a very, very long time. It leaked as a part of Microsoft's lawsuit against the FTC. But here recently, it leaked that a New Vegas remaster/remake is also in development as well. Now, I imagine that game is still a little bit further out, but we got a new clue today from the developer who is seemingly working on at least one of these games. Now, which one, again, that's the mystery here, but apparently it's Iron Galaxy, which is a studio that Xbox has extensive history with. Of course, they worked on Killer Instinct back during the Xbox One era. That is quite literally my favorite fighting game of all time. And also the Tony Hawk 3+4 remake just last year. Now, there's also rumors floating around that they're working on another Activision franchise, possibly being Crash Bandicoot or maybe even Spyro. That's just rumors for the time being, though. But for now, it does appear that they could be partnering up again, but this time with a Bethesda franchise instead. And that's because on LinkedIn, out of all places, they dropped this post. It reads, "Today's our February company meeting. It's time to catch up with what the company's been up to and what's coming up next for Iron Galaxy." And what makes this post just so interesting is the image that they included, which of course is the Fallout Please Stand By screen. And yeah, the comments are about as expected. It's filled with speculation that they are referring to either Fallout 3 Remastered or Fallout New Vegas. And the fact that they still haven't taken this image offline makes me believe it's exactly what they're teasing. Again, I've never really seen a game teased on LinkedIn before, but I'll say this much. Last year's Oblivion Remaster left a lot of people disappointed. Not because it's not a good game, but rather because its performance leaves a lot to be desired. So if Iron Galaxy is working on Fallout instead of Virtua Studios, then I kind of view that as a good thing. Maybe it'll actually have good performance this time, but even more so is because they're so openly teasing a Fallout-related project. I kind of wonder if they're maybe preparing for a potential 2026 announcement. Now, if it is a 2026 announcement, then it's probably Fallout 3. But either which way, we could get a new Fallout experience rather soon. All right, now one more thing before we go, though, because we also got a leak for PlayStation's next big game, Beyond Wolverine. And this is for Cory Barlog's next game. Now, if you don't know, Cory Barlog was the director for God of War 2018, which is a much, much better game than God of War Ragnarok. Personally, I don't even think it's close, which that's the thing, because Ragnarok was handled by a different director, After God of War 2018, Cory Barlog decided that he wanted to direct a completely different game. So there's been a lot of rumors and speculation as to what he's been working on. And well, over the weekend, it was discovered through a job resume that a senior writer claimed to have helped shape the narrative, vision, and creative direction at Sony Santa Monica Studios for a new franchise within the God of War universe. Now, I believe it was Jason Schreier, correct me if I'm wrong about this, but I believe it was him that mentioned he is working on another game within the God of War universe, but it's not God of War. So this resume leans into that idea, and, well, Nate the Hate added even more fuel to the fire. On Twitter, he posted, "Here's what I have heard. Yes, the game is set within the God of War universe, and the lead character will be Faye. Gameplay is said to differ from the Norse God of War games with more focus on action. Current plan, reveal this year, release first half of 2027, barring any delay." So apparently we know the character, we know the reveal window, and also the release window. So this is a major leak if true, but Faye being the main character, that's an interesting choice. I mean, she is Kratos' deceased wife and mother to Atreus. She is a giant and supposedly a great warrior. I mean, there's an entire backstory for her. You can go read it up online. I don't want to say too much just for spoiler-related reasons, but there is a big gap between God of War 3 and God of War 2018. So this would be a prequel that could fill that gap or maybe even go further back than that and focus on her adventures as a warrior. So yeah, it's a God of War game because, yes, it's in the same universe, but it's also basically a new IP as previously was described. So, I mean, we'll see how this shapes up with a potential announcement here possibly soon. Let me know what you all think about this, though. Do you like this idea or not? Anyways, though, that's going to be it for this episode, but until next time, make sure to subscribe, ring that bell, and peace out.